My name is Hugo, and today I'm going to be talking about part of a long series about creating an AI-powered adaptive card web part. Let's get started. All right, so far we've talked about how to build the custom property pane, how to make your web part theme aware, how to create an AI-powered layout creation, fancy animation. But now we're going to talk about indexable content. What is indexable content? I'm going to show you. Let's do a demo. So this is our web part that we've talked about now to death. One thing I should show you before I configure it is if I look at the web part data and I show you the information behind it, you'll see that it has nothing about the server processed content, which is this content right here. It doesn't have HTML strings, it doesn't have searchable plain text and things like that. Now, here is, I'm gonna configure the web part. I'm going to put in some content. Let's do this, boom. It creates something that has the word Contoso, has the word Redmond, Bellevue. It's just a generic adaptive card that I built. Now, here's the problem, is that your users don't know when you're putting content in a web part, they don't know how you got that content there. All they see is what's in front of them. So they're seeing, the words Redmond, Bellevue, Seattle, today's agenda, Contoso, and so on and so forth. The problem is, if you are not using indexable properties or index properties, SharePoint doesn't know what content you're showing. As far as it's concerned, it's just a little bubble inside of a web part. And when users are looking for, I could have sworn I saw somewhere an agenda, content. Again, they don't know it came from a fancy web part. They just saw content, HTML content on the page. And if they look for it, they will not be able to find it. But take a look at what's happening behind the scenes to our web part data. One of the things that we've done is, which is what I'm going to be showing you today, is that when I create an adaptive card, I create HTML. And I'm able to actually index the full content of that HTML right here. And I'm going to go through every single line right now. No, I'm just kidding. So what that means is if I go to another site and I search for, let's just search for Contoso here. Contoso. And I search for it, I should be able to actually find the content here of my web part. And if I click on it, it's probably not going to work because it's in debug mode right now. But I forgot that I was doing that. But again, the web part is indexed and it is findable. So that's something that you should be doing for your users. How do we do that, though? How do we make the content that you render indexable? Well, if only I had a slide for that. So there's an article called Integrate Web Part Properties with SharePoint. And in the article, it talks about specifying the web part property value types. And the value types that you have available are as following. You can, if you don't specify a value type, SharePoint assumes that your type is none. But you can actually say it's searchable plain text. You can say it's got HTML strings. You can say it actually renders an image, or it renders a link, or a combination of the above. Now, what happens is it changes the behavior of your content. If you have, depending on the content you're providing, it could be searchable. It could automatically fix the links on your site, on your web part, or it could remove unsafe HTML. SharePoint does that automatically with your properties for your web parts. So if you say none, obviously your content's not going to be searchable. Your links are not going to get fixed. Your HTML is not going to fix because, you didn't specify those indexes. But if you actually say that the content I'm going to be showing is searchable plain text, so you don't have any tags, you just have text, it will be searchable. If you say, like I did in my code, that the content that you're producing is HTML, even though it's coming from an adaptive card, I'm storing the rendered HTML. It makes it searchable. It will fix the links in it if you move stuff around, and it will remove unsafe HTML just in case you didn't do that. With images, it will actually fix the link. So if you move your web part around, you move the image, it will fix it. And if you move a link, same thing, it will actually adjust the link. And by moving a link, I mean the target to a link within SharePoint. So that's pretty cool. How do we do that in code? I'm going really quickly here, but in my interface, what I did is I created an attribute or a property that creates a function, an event handler that receives HTML that has been produced by my web part. I also, when I render my adaptive card, I actually I parse the adaptive card, I get the rendered HTML, and then what I do is I actually call the function, the event handler that I created, and I pass it the rendered HTML. In our web part interface itself, I have the rendered HTML as a property that is available to my web part. That's where I'm going to store the rendered HTML. And this is the secret. You have a method called properties metadata, which is a get method, and it's a protected method. And what you just need to do is you need to say that, so it's protected, yeah. We just need to say that this property is actually HTML. And then in my code, when I get the event handler that returns HTML, I actually store the HTML in that property. And because I specified property metadata in my web part builder web part, SharePoint automatically knows that this is something it should index when it gets changed. And that's pretty much all the time I've got for today. So let's go right here. Nope, not right here. Right here. There you go. So if you want to integrate web part properties with SharePoint, you can go to this super long URL here, where they show you how to integrate web part properties within SharePoint. And you want to look at specifying the web part property value types. That's all the time I got for today.